Hey, Megan Scully, and this is the Limerick Post Show. And joining me now, it's Alex Chernenko from Translit.com. How are you keeping?
Hi, Megan. Thank you for having me. It's a nice day in Limerick.
It is. It's nice. Between the showers, we're very lucky. Alex, tell us about Translit and what exactly the work you do.
Well, Translate journey started 11 years ago. I was working as a translator interpreter, and my vision was to help the people of Limerick to get their translations out of their personal documents. So I always found, that language barrier was actually a problem for some people, and I set up a company to actually remove the language barriers. And from working with individual clients, it moved on to businesses and even helping our government bodies to get their language services right. So at the moment, it's mainly translation interpreting, but we put interpreting first, actually face-to-face conversations with people, and that would be what we do.
Amazing, because I suppose now, especially like nowadays, there are so many different from people from all over the world in Ireland alone as well, and so many different languages now that are being spoken. Even I find I walk around Limerick and you'll hear loads of different languages. So I suppose there's obviously you saw the opportunity there for this interpretation and went for it.
But you would be surprised, 1 in 8 people in Ireland don't speak English as their first language. It's actually 12, over the 12%. And that data was about 3 years ago. So now I think it's actually moved up a bit. So it's kind
That's
of 1 in 8 moving to 1 in 7 persons who are not native Irish, and that's the reality we live in today.
That's absolutely incredible information and such an amazing stat to know. But I read as well that you are looking to venture into the UK as well. So you're taking Translit International.
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. We kind of used the 2020 as an opportunity, and since UK left Brexit, we decided to continue serving clients that we already have in UK, and also use it as a kind of expansion, because UK is much bigger market than Ireland, and we would like to have a presence there. But yeah, looking forward to kind of new venture.
That's absolutely incredible. And how have you found this past year with the pandemic for Translit?
Initially, it was devastating. Imagine that we won 2 tenders with the government bodies, and we had a client who was giving us jobs every week, and that just all got stalled with lockdowns. All our interpreters were sent home, like everybody else in the country, and we didn't know what to do. And we thought, is either we have to come up with something new, or we will be out of business. So 2 things we started last year. We actually built a new product to allow interpreters to work remotely, which is essentially a software that we launched. And we also started training divisions. So while people were sitting home and they had nothing to do, we actually began training interpreters. So 2 new kind of pivoting directions: training and the software that allowed us to actually use it as a kind of jump in and new opportunities rather than shutting down the operations.
That's
So
absolutely
it was a bad start, but
yeah.
then we adapted and found a solution essentially.
Absolutely amazing. I love hearing this. I think it's always good to hear these stories, especially, for people who maybe are starting up business, or for people who have been struggling this past year. I think it's always good to see that there is a chance to, I guess, adapt to what's going on. But I want to go back to you now a little bit more. And I know you're a graduate of the University of Limerick, and I know you went to St. Nesson's school. And when did you first come to Ireland?
It was 2003, which is essentially 18 years ago. I went straight into the last 6 year in college in St. Nesson's and did my Living Cert. And from then I progressed to UL, and I did my bachelor's engineering in computers. So since young age, I had 2 passions: languages and computers. I used to speak 6 languages, believe it or not. And that's kind of how the language career started. And then, computers and kind of translation languages and IT computers got combined into Translit. That's kind of translation, IT joining together. Translit was formed, and I believe that languages can only get better with the help of technology, and that has been our kind of mantra: use the language and a bit of technology to provide a great service to the people and businesses.
6 languages. I'm like, wow. I thought I was good at my English and Irish and a little bit of French. Did you have English when you first came to Ireland?
Yeah, my English was quite good at that stage, and I went straight to college, and I actually got highest Living Cert achiever in St. Nesson's. It was like 545 points back
Wow.
then, so I was always a good student, I would say.
That's absolutely incredible. And I believe there is a bit of work with around with organizing discos or something.
Yeah, it was a hobby of mine. When we came, it was just 2 years before the expansion of European Union. So it was just a couple of I would say Spanish and French nationals in the country. So there was very few migrants back then, and I was feeling homesick. There was no Russian speakers back then, and I kind of I created a small Russian community and started gathering people together. And we played music. We organized a couple of events like New Year, Saint Valentine's, and it actually grew into you know uh, a more events. We used to gather like 300 and 400 people uh, to in the whole hotel. So it was kind of a way to build a community, and I had a hobby of DJing.
Class.
That was something that kept me as a hobby, I would say.
That's brilliant. And I think it's great because you took such initiative when you came here, as you said, to build that community, and then you used your languages to now build your company, Translit.com. So what is next for Transit.com, or what's in the short term for you guys?
Yeah, well, we have a UK expansion coming up. So the technology we are still building it, and what we would like to do at the end of the day is build a pizza-like delivery experience for an average person. So imagine if you're going to a hospital, rather than contacting the couple of agencies, getting all their prices, you just pick up a phone and you say, I need, whether it's French or Polish or Romanian, doesn't matter what language. You just click a couple of buttons and interpreter connects. So our goal is actually to have this kind of pizza like, or I use the phrase Uber for interpreting. My colleagues told me we shouldn't use the word Uber, but I just think it gives a picture that you just press a button and you get somebody else connected and they help you communicate no matter where you are. That's essentially the end goal, and we should be getting closer to it by the end of this year.
Super stuff. It's absolutely incredible. I think it's the good news story that we need here, especially as we go through these pandemics and lockdowns. Alex Chernenko of Transit.com, thank you so much for sharing your story with us, but also for letting us know about your interpretation company. And I look forward to seeing what's next.
Meghann, thank you very much for having me. And to all the listeners out there, if you're ever stuck with the language, we're there to help. Reach out to translate.